1, it should start recording. And like I said, it will be available on our website later on at PRSAMemphis.org. So with that, Phil, I will turn it over to you, Milton, and I'll just click the buttons from here.
Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it. And good morning, everybody. And thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your very busy days, I'm sure, to dial into this. I'm happy to host this webinar on pursuing accreditation in public relations. I am going to share my screen here in about, let's see if I make this happen, and then I will ask Milton and or Tom to go ahead and address any questions that that may pop up in the chat. But certainly, if you have questions going forward, feel free to let me know. I have my personal contact information at the very end of this presentation, and happy to share it with anybody for any follow-on questions after we're done. So without any further ado, let's get started. So we're going to talk about accreditation in public relations, what it is, why it's important, how much does it cost, how you can get started, what are the steps in the accreditation examination process, and at the end of the day, the real question that some folks may be asking is, can you really do this? And yes, my belief is absolutely you can, and my goal is to help you on this journey towards accreditation in public relations. So let's just get started. A little bit about me. I am a U.S. Navy public affairs officer. I have over 22 years in the PR industry. I'm accredited in public relations, and I also serve as the accreditation chair for PRSA Memphis. Just stop real quick. Hey, Tom and everybody, can you see the slides that I'm presenting over?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thanks. And slides are showing up?
Yes, everything's great.
Great, thank you. So why did I pursue accreditation? It was really something that I got late in my career. Actually achieved my accreditation in April of 2019. It was really a professional goal that I had, frankly, not prioritized earlier in my career. From my perspective, I'm a senior member of the Navy public affairs community, and I have a current role that includes advising on professional development for folks in our community. And I really recognized that it was my own personal say-do gap. I had a lot of good mentors and some folks that were really motivating me, and so I just got after it. And I won't deny that it was challenging. It had been over 12 years from the time that I had completed my master's degree in communications and the time that I started the accreditation process. So I really had to jump back into a lot of the fundamentals, a lot of the textbooks, and really study. And I set a pretty aggressive timeline to achieve my own goal of accreditation. And I'll be the first one to say that it was pretty humbling. I spent a lot of time preparing for the readiness review and the exam as well, and it showed me there were several areas over many different jobs that I'd had over the course of my career where I frankly could have done a better job as a practitioner. And as I've only ever worked in the military public affairs field, there were certain parts of the profession that were covered in the exam that I just, frankly, had not been exposed to. Some of the elements of law, some of the business practice sides of it. So I had some good learning to do as I was stepping through the process. But that said, after I've been spending about 5 years in roles that are really organizational leadership and personnel management, and not necessarily having a public relations focus on a day-to-day basis, the accreditation process really recharged me and gave me a renewed enthusiasm for the field. And I'm really excited now as I continue what is my own lifelong learning journey as a professional communicator. So my focus in this discussion and any follow-on conversations that I have in my role in the accreditation chair position is to really try to demystify the accreditation process. I'll be the first one to say that achieving accreditation can appear intimidating, and frankly, why I just didn't prioritize it over the years. It's a lot of work, and it requires an investment of time and money for professionals who are already pretty busy. But with that said, it's absolutely achievable, and I believe there are tangible benefits to the individual practitioner and to the PR profession as a whole. And throughout this, this brief, I've dropped in a few quotes and testimonials from members of PRSA Memphis who are accredited, who were kind enough to share some of their thoughts with me, and I hope that you find the perspectives that they offer helpful as well. And I'll go to the next slide. So let's just kind of get into the big picture here. What is accreditation? It is a multi-step assessment and certification of your professional competence and expertise. It is an external objective validation, and it uses industry standards for the public relations industry. The accreditation process is overseen by the Universal Accreditation Board, and it's managed through the Public Relations Society of America, which is the largest member of the Universal Accreditation Board. And again, it is an industry-defined and recognized standard of competence. So why is it important? It unifies and advances the PR profession. The APR really represents a mastery of the public relations body of knowledge and a commitment to ethical behavior. One of the key things that I think many people are interested in is how much does it cost? It's a $385 exam fee, and there's a $25 application fee. However, if you go and look at the actual application itself, if you do that single payment, then that $385 is a single payment. PRSA actually waives the application fee, and $25 is $25, so that's good. Again, that is not an insignificant amount of money, but I like to think of it as an investment in your personal growth. So how do you get started? Well, one, you can talk to me as the accreditation chair for PRSA Memphis. You can take a look at the APR resources page, which I recommend to everybody, but I'm also the first one to acknowledge that there's a lot of information, and it goes right back to what I said before, which is it can seem very intimidating if you start there and you really start trying to digest everything that's there. There's a lot of good information there, but there's also a lot of information there. And talk with your accredited peers and your colleagues. Get their perspectives on why they did it and what it took for them to get into the accreditation program. There's two big steps in the examination process. The first is the panel presentation, and I'll talk to each of these things a little bit further on. And there's also the computer-based examination. And there are 43 specific KSAs that are in 6 areas of professional practice that are assessed over the course of the examination process. Let me stop there and just see if there's any questions before I move on to the next slide. Okay, nothing heard. Moving to the next slide. Okay, so again, at first glance, it really does look overwhelming. It is a big step, and I encourage folks, like any big step that you take, do your research first. It is challenging, and frankly, it should be. We should want it to be. As an industry, we should want this level of professional certification to be challenging, but it is achievable. And it's a high bar, and again, I think it should be. But with proper preparation and focus, you'll certainly be able to clear that bar. It does take an investment of your time, and I like to think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. So you have to pace yourself going through this. But it also provides public relations industry validation of your skill sets as a practitioner. I think that's one of the key elements of this program. Frankly, it's going to help you get better, And at the same time, it also helps the industry improve, because as collectively, as we improve our individual skills, the overall public relations industry gets better. I think of it as that rising tide that lifts all boats. Okay. So the main elements that are involved, the first piece is the application. I put the link there. Again, you can go on to PRSA's website and go into the professional development tabs there, and that's where you get into the APR tabs. But that PDF is there, and that's really the first step in the process. Now, some of the key elements in that application, there are some prerequisites recommended that you have at least 5 years of full-time public relations experience, communication-specific bachelor's degree or equivalent work experience. Again, these are recommended. You need to have membership in at least one of the Universal Accreditation Board participating organizations. Again, PRSA is the largest organization in the UAB. And again, there's the cost, that $385 exam fee plus the application fee. But again, I mentioned the waiver option. Once you submit the application and you receive notification of the eligibility to start, that's when your 12-month timeline starts. So from the time that you begin this until the time that you're expected to finish the examination, it's 12 months. Any questions on that? Okay. So the next thing is to prepare for the panel presentation. The panel presentation is, again, part one of the overall examination and assessment of your skill sets. There is a panel presentation guide that is available on the PRSA accreditation page, and it is really comprehensive, and my recommendation is that you read that guide thoroughly. And then you want to complete and submit the panel presentation questionnaire. There are a number of questions that you complete, short answer, essay type questions that each candidate will complete and submit prior to the panel presentation. You'll also prepare your PR plan or your portfolio that you will present in person at your panel presentation. And that PR plan should relate directly to the issues that you're addressing in the questionnaire. It should follow the RPI process, research, plan, implementation, and evaluation. Again, it's not submitted with your questionnaire. That is something that you bring with you to the panel presentation and deliver it in that form. Attention to detail really matters here. This is a professional review that's conducted by your fellow public relation industry colleagues. These are all APR accredited individuals. So again, this is my opinion, but polish in that presentation matters. The detail matters. You are putting your best foot forward. This is the first time that someone is really assessing your skills and your competency for the purposes of accreditation. So preparation is very important. Number three, once you've prepared and set up, then you will actually conduct the readiness review panel presentation. You have 3 accredited members who sit as panel members for this. It's usually about 1 to 2 hours. It's designed to be a professional, collegial discussion. Again, it evaluates your readiness in areas of competence that are not judged on the computer-based exam. And you have to prepare for this. The result of this, again, I go back to professional collegial discussion. It's not designed to be a gotcha. And the things that are assessed there, should not be a surprise, because the information is part of the preparation guide, the presentation guide that I mentioned previously. But the result of this is you get a recommendation of either advance or not advance. Now that recommendation is submitted by the panel to the UAB, and you will then get formally notified by the UAB that you have been recommended to advance, which means you get to study for the computerized exam. There's a lot of content in here that again is outlined in the preparation guide and in the study guides, and I'm not going to go into all of the different areas in that. That's a much longer conversation that I'm happy to do with anybody and walk through what the topical areas are that are covered in the exam. There are a number of study guides that are available. There are the recommended texts that are available at the accreditation page on PRSA's website, the AP Style Book, Effective Public Relations, Primer PR, Strategies and Tactics, Strategic Planning, opportunity for study courses, certainly through PRSA's website. I certainly am a big fan of study groups, and I've talked to some of the members here at PRSA Memphis about the potential for starting study groups. I did not when I was going through mine. I studied on my own. I kind of wish that I had some other folks to bounce some things off of as I was going through to make sure I understood some of the areas. But those are some of the things that you could use to help prepare for. And then once you're ready, you take and pass the exam. Again, I lead off with the test is no joke. You do really have to prepare. It is conducted at the Prometric testing centers. It is all multiple choice. It's 3 hours and 45 minutes. There are some on the PRSA website. There's some sample questions that kind of give you a sense of what the structure of the questions look like. And again, that 3 hours and 45 minutes, I will tell you just my own experience. I felt like I was in the top bar of the computer screen when you're taking the test, and I was keeping an eye on that. And as I was going through, when I hit about the halfway point from the time, I was not anywhere near the halfway point of the questions, and I really had to pick up the pace to go through it. And I finished the exam with about 8 minutes to spare. And so you do get your preliminary results as soon as you finish the test. It's not actually official until you get the letter back from UAB and from PRSA that says officially you passed. But you do get the preliminary results immediately as soon as you finish up the test. Let me stop there for just a second and ask if there's any questions or any comments. Okay.
You do have a question. In the comment, you have a question. It says, did accreditation increase the salary?
I'm sorry, can you say that again, Milton, please?
Yeah, did accreditation increase your salary was the question.
So for me, because I'm in the Navy, the answer is no, because my pay band is specifically delineated by military policy. So no. As to whether or not it could help somebody in the civilian practice, I'm not the best expert to ask that. I would certainly pose that question to other accredited members of the chapter.
Okay, another question. Is there a renewal requirement?
Yes, there is, and I will get to that in this next slide. So once you pass the test, again, congratulations. You are now an accredited public relations practitioner. You get your official results from UAB, and again, you should be proud of this because it is a big deal. It's a mark of excellence. It is good. The accreditation is good for life. There are maintenance requirements, and you have to maintain membership in a UAB participating organization. The maintenance it follows a 3-year cycle. There is there are several items that go into maintaining your your accreditation. I'll pull up a tab here separately and get to that, but there are things related to your own professional knowledge and professional development. You mentor other folks in the accreditation process, joining in other panel presentations, helping to teach and facilitate accreditation prep courses. These are some of the things that help you get points in certain areas over the course of that 3-year period that you have to have maintain a certain number of points in order to maintain accreditation in good standing in each 3-year cycle. I hope that answers the question. Okay. So the question then is that I hear from many people is can I really do it? And the answer is yes. Again, marathon, not a sprint. You've got to set the intention. You got to prioritize it. It is a challenging but achievable professional milestone. It is something that requires a good amount of preparation first. Now, my personal opinion, I recommend that folks, if they're thinking about doing it before they submit the application, which once accepted, starts your 12-month clock. There's a lot of preparation work that an individual can do before they hit send on that application. Things like going through the panel presentation preparation guide, working through the questionnaire, gathering a lot of that panel presentation information, pulling that together before you even submit the application. Nothing wrong with that. The information is all there. It's all available in the public relations PRSA accreditation page. So that information is there. Requesting a mentor, talking to the accreditation chair, allowing folks who are accredited to give you some insight and guidance on the process, so that as soon as you submit your application, you're as ready as you can get yourself, so that you're pretty close to being ready for your panel presentation. And it just reserves all that much more time for you to study for the exam. I recognize that folks are busy. You've got a career, you've got life, you've got family. These things all are areas that have to be balanced, and I fully appreciate that. And it is achievable, but again, you've got to set the intention. You've got to do your research. You've got to do your preparation, and you frankly have to. You just got to make it a priority. And with that, I have questions or time for questions, and certainly my contact information is here, and I'm delighted to answer any questions now. And if there are other folks that are on the call who are accredited, I would certainly offer them the opportunity to speak as well, but I'll take any questions.
I have a question. So Phil, tell us how much time did you personally spend preparing for it?
Well, like I said, I spent a lot of time. Actually, I'm going to stop broadcasting the screen here, but I'll make sure that we send out my personal contact information for folks so that they have that afterwards. So Milton, I spent from start to finish, from the time that I was from the time that I was approved to participate in the program, I was it was about 4 months. So I was approved to participate the very end of November of 2018. I had my panel presentation on the 11th of January, and I took the exam on the 30th of March. So about 4 months start to finish. That was pretty aggressive. And again, when you talk about work-life balance, I'm not sure that I quite got that right as I was doing it, but it was it was aggressive, and I just needed to get it done.
Yeah. What would you say was the most challenging part of all of it?
Frankly, just carving out enough time over the course of the day and nights and weekends to really focus and study. Like I said, it had been about 12 years for me from the time that I had finished my master's degree, and I really had to go back and get back into the a lot of the theories, a lot of the communication theories, learning some of the elements of the legal side of things, that just the areas that I just didn't have a lot of experience in, because I'm a government practitioner, and so some of the things that are assessed were just not anything that I had a lot of experience in. So just really that balance of time studying for the exam was challenging. I mean, the subject matter, again, as a lot of this, it was areas that I did have experience with. The RPI process is a big part of the exam, a big part of the percentage of the exam. So I did have some experience there, but again, just really focusing on that preparation time was challenging, especially with the aggressive timeline I set for myself. Does that help?
It does. And Mark got a question?
Marvin?
Yes, Marvin. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to skip ahead of Mark. You know, it really comes down to return on investment for my time, and every time I approach the subject matter, I really come at it earnestly, thinking like, now maybe's the time it's going to make sense. Somebody's going to explain to me why investing this much time is going to matter to my career this much. But I mean, to be totally frank, I mean, this is like, it's just kind of talked me out of it all over again. You know, it's just like, I can do a lot with 4 months. You know, I would need to have a much clearer, and I know PRSA, broadly speaking, it incentivizes PR pros to do this, but it's just like, I don't know, there's just got to be, like, I just can't imagine dedicating that time to something that there's no clear corollary to a boost in my career. I mean, I know it would be nice to have those initials behind my name, but and for what that represents, but it's just like, that sounds like oppressively way too much for the benefit. I just haven't heard a strong enough case yet.
So Marvin, again, you're raising a point that I think a lot of folks have raised to me, and I understand that. And again, as I have heard from PRSA, about 20% or so of the entire PRSA membership is accredited. So that means 80% has not achieved it, or whether they've actively pursued it or not. I don't know. But my view is, again, and everybody has different reasons for pursuing it, and some may resonate more with folks than others. Again, as I think about it, I think about the professional growth. It's an opportunity to assess the strengths that you have and any weaknesses potentially as a practitioner, and improve some of those. Again, it is a mark of distinction that does set accredited members apart. I'm not saying it's just a distinction. It is an industry level validation of your skill set, your proficiency, your competence as a strategic level practitioner. Others may point to a demonstration of a commitment to the PR profession, the ethical practice of the PR profession. Some folks may look at it from the perspective of how does the improvement in their own proficiency in the practice lead to better results for the organization for whom they work, or to the clients that they may work for. The more trust in the individual practitioner and the role of public relations as value added that an organization or a client sees, the better that practitioner may have, the better success that practitioner may have within their organization, within their clients and so forth. So I don't know if that is necessarily compelling for everybody. Those are some of the things that come to my mind as I think about how I evaluated my own prioritization of this for what that's worth.
Phil, would you say
I
that?
appreciate it. Thank you.
Phil, would you say that the accreditation process, was there something in it that you may have learned through the process, through the material that you read, that was enlightening to your current job? Was there something that you didn't know before that you learned during that process that you said, I've learned this? Because for me personally, I'm personally interested in accreditation because what I've been in PR for a number of years. My degree was in communication, so I'm always wondering: is there a little something that I may have missed years ago that because I didn't particularly study or focus PR that I kind of migrated into it through the course of my career? Maybe accreditation would be me kind of setting that foundation for making sure that I have the standards and knowledge and processes of certain things that I may already know, but then there might be something I may not know.
So Milton, that's a great question. One of the things that I was really struck by as I was going through the process was the importance of the overall strategic process, the overall strategic public relations process, which in many ways is captured in the RPI process, the research plan, implementation, evaluation. I have always, well, not always, but I have felt for some time that one of the areas that I knew that I was not prioritizing enough in my own practice of public relations, was the evaluation piece. It was something, even though I have been trained in it and I have a degree that has background in the research and the evaluation piece of it. It's just something that I recognize that I have not done enough with. So for me, going back and really understanding through the accreditation process why that is so important, why the evaluation, the ability to get to the so what for what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, to be able to deliver to my bosses the kind of data-driven, measurable results for the work that I'm doing as a communicator. It's not about my gut. It's not about my hunch that I think this is working. It's about the fact that I have the ability to go and assess the effectiveness of the communication efforts that I'm putting into play for my organization, and be able to take those results and be able to show my boss, this is why what we're doing to help achieve this organizational objective matters. Here's how we're moving the needle. Here's how we're having an effect, and being able to do that in a way that is data driven, that is consistent with industry standards, PR industry standards, I think was very again, invigorating to me. And even though I recognize that's an area, in my past that I have not been as proficient in, it's an area that I know I need to continue to focus on, and it keeps my focus in that side of the profession, that the evaluation piece matters. The so what of what we're doing matters. I'm not sure if that answers your question. That's just one of the things that was one of my main takeaways from this.
Yeah, it does.
If I could throw in 2 cents to back up what he was talking about, the biggest thing I found going through the process, and like Captain Rosi, I'm in the Navy. I actually work for Captain Rosi, so that's why I call him Captain Rosi. That Phil is. In the Navy, we spend a lot of time thinking about it as purely press releases and media queries and dealing with the media, and not really stakeholder management, and not the idea that you have audiences of people that you deal with that may not necessarily be the general public. They're just audiences, publics that you work with. in your organizations or with your clients. And it gave me an opportunity and an appreciation, really, to understand that with APR, you're trying to talk to a wide variety of people, and you're trying to build mutually beneficial relationships. That's really the essence of public relations, and that was something that was always lost on me as a Navy PAO practitioner. As we call ourselves public affairs officers, not public relations officers, because we're talking about the government's relationship with the public, but as public relations professionals, you're dealing with a whole group of people. It may or may not include a government audience, and so for me, APR was an eye opener that there's a bigger world out there than just merely media relations. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Thanks, Rick.
Gentlemen, this is
Other
Tom. Let me
questions,
ask
please.
you a process question. What happens if I fail the test?
So there is the opportunity in the event that the first time that a person takes the test and does not pass, they have the ability to retest. I'd need to go back and just check on the website. I believe that there is a cost associated with that. I believe there is a timeline. In other words, you can't just go back the next day and try to take it again. There's a cost, and there's a little bit of a time spread, Tom. But let me check on that to make sure that I have the specifics on that to answer your question more fully. But yes, you do have the ability. I know I have some colleagues that took it one time, didn't quite make on a couple of areas, and the results that you get from the exam do actually point to some of the areas that you need to spend a little bit more time focusing on, and so you do see within the main KSA blocks, where you fell in that with respect to your answers. So you do have at least the awareness to say, well, it was in business literacy that I really had the hardest time, and so you do have the ability to retake the exam. But what the specifics and the cost, I'd have to get back to you on that, Tom.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions, please.
Well, we've got nothing in the chat and silence on the line. Oh, here we go. I know as a college student, there was a 6-month period before and after graduation where you can take the exam. Are you familiar with the specifics on this? From Megan Gibson.
So Megan, it's a good question. There is some specific, there is if we go on the PRSA website, there is for college seniors and recent grads, certificate in public relations. It's a certificate in the principles of public relations, which is different from the accreditation. This is on the PRaccreditation.org page, and so there's a certificate that is different from the accreditation piece. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but that is distinct from the APR. I'm not sure if that answers your question, Megan.
She says yes. Just wanted to make sure that they were 2 different things.
Got it. And again, if you look at the page, and I'm just looking at it right now, there is that separate page, which frankly is a pretty neat thing that I was not aware of until recently. So it's a pretty neat opportunity for more junior practitioners to have that additional feather.
On the panel review process, was that just, can you tell us about a little bit more details of what that process looked like? Was that just you in the room with other APR professionals and they're just grilling you?
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like?
So the panel presentation, as I said, is collegial. For me, because I'm APR+M, all of the panel members were +M, so they were all military practitioners. We're in a pretty small community of professionals in the Navy PA community, in the military PA community. It just so happened that I knew all three of those individuals and probably known them all for about 15 years, so or longer. And so again, the process was collegial. It was discussion. I had the opportunity to kind of make a brief statement, and it was a question and answer type of a process. They were asking questions related to what I was presenting, some of my background, why am I doing this now, and from a just from a mechanics of it, for lack of a better term, you can go in there. I had all my notes. I had all my my prep material with me. It's not like I went in there empty-handed. I brought copies of everything that I wanted to utilize in addressing that, and it was again a very I keep using the word collegial, but it was professional. These were people that were peers, that were colleagues in the profession, and so while some of their questions were pointed and led to some good conversation, it was never any type of a gotcha type of a approach. And the panels that I've sat as a member, since then, same approach. You want it to be an opportunity to fairly and accurately assess the candidate. Again, this is a process that we as an industry, it's self-enforcing. I mean, if we hold the candidates to the same kind of high standards that we were held to, then we will continue to ensure that those folks that get through it, are fully qualified. And so that's an important element of it too. But I felt it was fair. I felt it was a very good discussion and something that I felt frankly well prepared for. Not sure if that answers your question, but that's my thoughts.
Jennifer asked a little detailed question. She wanted to know the information that you presented. Was it information that you previously worked on, or was it a hypothetical situation?
No. So what you're presenting in your panel presentation is a communication plan or a public relations plan, campaign that you worked on. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you did 100% of, but it should be something that you had a significant contribution in. And so you're using that as the basis for some of the elements of the questionnaire, but also as you present it, you're presenting it through the lens of RPI, so research, plan, implementation, and evaluation. And frankly, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it makes the discussion a little bit more, a little bit better if, in fact, what you're presenting is not perfect, because it shows that you as a practitioner are continuing to grow and continue to advance, and you're looking back and saying, hey, if I had done this element a little bit better, if I'd focused more on developing the right kind of SMART objectives as I was developing this plan, I might have been able to get some more tangible results that I would better able to show to the leadership of the organization when I went into the evaluation piece. So it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but what you should be doing as you're presenting your campaign or your plan is looking at it with some benefit of 20/20 hindsight, using the RPI process, and be able to say, yeah, this worked out really well because of X, and this probably could have worked out a little bit better if we had done more research, or if we had done some element of it a little bit differently. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. So a perfect example would be, a lot of us are right now dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. So that very well could be sharing in a panel the strategic planning on how we handle that process.
Sure. It could very well be. Again, and maybe if somebody has a a crisis communication plan that is had been developed for their organization. Now, you put it into place because of the ongoing crisis, and you're like, ooh, we really could have added some things if we had built this crisis communication plan, again, benefit of 2020 hindsight, if we had built this crisis communication plan with a little bit more emphasis on measurable objectives, or how we were actually going to evaluate the effectiveness of this. Are we going to have the ability to assess, mid-implementation, et cetera. So there are ways that you could take that and very much use that as a contemporary example of how the process could have been better had the RPA process been more closely adhered to. What else?
I got another question. Is there a cost? You may have shared this, but was there a cost for the renewal?
There is a cost for the renewal. Rick, I think you just went through that. I'm pulling up.
Yeah, it's a $75 renewal fee,
and that's every 3 years, right?
Correct. And I don't. I'm sorry. I remember if you mentioned if you obtain a college degree or some kind of accomplishment like that during that renewal period, that's an automatic renewal. So
automatic renewal. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely right. I'm pulling up the renewal form. Again, this is not about I got a secret. There's all this information is on the PRSA website. Lots of good information. But yes, thanks, Rick.
Now, is that degree, and I can look that up too, but is that degree, if you earn that degree within the year of the renewal, does it have to be in communications or just any degree?
Let's see. Earn an advanced degree. This is right off the page. I'm looking at the page right now. Earn an advanced degree in recognition of the mastery of strategic communication practice, competencies, and ethical standards by those who have earned APR. There are several universities that offer waivers for professionals of holy designation. So that's let me see if I can find the application to see if there's any specifics on there. Sorry, bear with me. But yeah, it's listed in there. But we'll.
Okay. Well, because if a degree in basket weaving works, then I'm going to apply for that.
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
And let's see if I've got it here. Let me open it so I can make sure I answer your question, Tom.
While you're looking at that, Rick, this could be for you or Phil as our two APRs that are on the webinar right now. But Elizabeth Whittington had said that she would be very interested in a local mentor before committing to the process.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a number of folks that are accredited in the chapter, and I would be delighted to help facilitate that. Let's see. So, Tom, this is from the APR renewal page here. Continuing education and professional development, advanced degrees from a regionally accredited institution. If earned during the current APR renewal cycle, it's automatic reaccreditation. Again, I would suspect that if you got an advanced degree in basket weaving, that's probably not in the spirit of what the UAB is looking for. I would argue that it should be within the communication field, or have some applicability there too.
And just one final note on the mentor question. If someone is your mentor, they cannot be part of your panel presentation committee, just so people know that. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but for example, if Captain Rosi was your mentor, he couldn't sit on the committee that judged your presentation.
Well, that's good to know.
That is true. And so, but that said, that's okay. That's fine. And so, of note, we have, I think it's about 17 to 18 accredited members in our chapter. Maybe it's a little bit more. To the extent that we need to have other folks, to sit the panel presentation, then I can certainly reach out to other nearby chapters and coordinate with some of their accredited members to have them sit in. Now, they may not be able to be there personally, but virtually is certainly not a showstopper to have folks participate in the panel. But Elizabeth, thanks for that, and I will happily work with you to find a mentor before you start the process. I'm a big believer in having a mentor in this process. I had a very good mentor who kind of gave me the encouragement, but also that, hey, how you doing on this? Throughout the process to kind of keep me going, and that was really helpful. Happy to help there.
Looks like Milton's just done the last call for questions. If anybody has any questions on the chat, or if you are able to use your audio, please chime in.
All right. Well, looks like that's it, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Milton and Tom, for helping to set this up, and for everybody who joined in. Thank you for your time. I hope it's helpful. I recognize that not everybody is going to immediately seek out and pursue this. If you have more questions, please reach out to me. I'm honored to serve in this role. I'm a big believer in the process. It's challenging. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, but it is achievable. And my personal opinion is it'll make you a better practitioner. And at the end of the day, that is what we can do to help the public relations industry as a whole to raise our collective competency. So with that, thank you again for your time. Anybody that wants to reach out to me afterwards, happy to take any additional questions and comments. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a great one, y'all.
Thank you all. And just a reminder, we're going to have this webcast posted on PRSAMemphis.org after it gets processed, so you'll probably see it on later this week. Have yourself a great afternoon.
Thanks all. Signing off.